Picture a medieval wonderland of winding canals, maze-like cobblestone streets, horse-drawn carriages, and beautifully preserved Gothic and Renaissance architecture. Welcome to Bruges, Belgium, a Western European gem and the destination for today's adventure. With only one day available to me, I did my best to experience a bit of everything that this delightfully charming city, with its UNESCO-listed historic center, had to offer. If you've ever wanted the feeling of stepping right into a fairy tale, then I invite you to join me as I hop a train from Paris to explore one of Europe's most beautifully preserved medieval cities. The day started bright and early with a 5 a.m. wake-up call and a brisk pre-dawn walk to Paris's Gare du Nord station, where I boarded a high-speed Thalys train that would take me as far as the Belgian capital of Brussels before I hopped on a local train to take me the rest of the way for my day of exploring Bruges, the Venice of the North. Okay, good morning. We have finally arrived in Bruges. It took about 2 hours and 45 minutes to get here from Paris. So now I'm going to try and find the city and don't have a plan for the day, which is very unlike me, but I think today I'm just gonna wing it. I'll wander around for a bit and see what looks interesting, see what looks good, get some waffles, get some chocolate, maybe take a boat ride. Yeah, we're just gonna walk around and see what we find. My phone service was unexpectedly not working, so I had to rock things old school style. I found a map near the train station and started my meander toward the historic city center. It wasn't long before I found my very first canal. Just slowly making my way into the city, but I have found my very first canal, so we're starting to make a little bit of progress. It's about a kilometer walk from the train station to the kind of central part of town. So I'm just following the signs and hoping I find it. But so far, it's pretty cute, pretty quiet. It's still early. I left Paris very, very early this morning. Yeah. So we'll just continue on our way and see what we find. A few more minutes of walking found me entering the historic center where I would spend the remainder of the day. I was low-key excited that after years of relying on my iPhone and Google Maps, my sense of directions still worked. It was also actually quite nice being out and about before the shops were open and the streets filled with people. It gave me a little bit of time to have this lovely European gem mostly to myself. So when I was looking for a day trip to go on from Paris, I decided on Bruges because one, I'd never been to Belgium at all, and two, Bruges is considered to be one of the best preserved medieval cities in Europe. And so I was like, all right, well, we gotta check this out. So I'm still kind of doing a general wander around. You know, things are just opening up. People are just kind of hanging out, having breakfast. Not too many shops are open yet. But so far, it is just so nice here. Really loving it. After wandering into the famous market square, which I'd head back to explore later on in the afternoon, I walked over to the closest boat dock to go for a canal ride. When people think of Bruges, canals winding through charming old stone buildings are often the first image that comes to mind. These canals gave Bruges the nickname the Venice of the North, so going for a boat ride seemed like the logical choice to really get the day started. So it's only about 10:30, but it is already super hot outside. But I'm gonna try and cool off by going on a little canal boat tour. It looks super cute, so it'll be nice to get out on the water, even if it's only just for a little bit. There are several departure points for the canal rides, and you can embark at whichever one is the closest or has the shortest lines. All of the tours cover the same route, have the same cost, and the same duration, lasting approximately 30 minutes. The boats aren't covered, so bring that sunscreen if you're here in the summer like I was. And each boat has a capacity of about 35 to 40 people. I found out just recently that there are actually plans to gradually retire the existing boats over the next few years, replacing them with newer electric models that are better for the environment and quieter for everyone's ears. Most tours run daily from March through November, and the boat captains are all multilingual. Explanations of the sites we rode by were given in English, French, and I think German as well on my boat. I paid €12 for my trip, but that was in 2022, so prices may be a bit higher today. For a bit of background, the canals date back to the medieval period. They were first constructed in the early 12th century to connect inland Bruges to the North Sea. Bruges was a thriving trading city in the Middle Ages, but by the Renaissance period, the city's economy had declined and the canals fell into a bit of a neglected state. By the late 1800s, there was renewed interest in the city's rich past, and the canals were restored to preserve Bruges' wondrous historical heritage. Restorations followed of commercial and residential buildings, churches, and other historic monuments, giving us the beautifully preserved fairytale city that we get to experience today. As you can already see, the canals of Bruges are the arteries of the city, and the canal tours are actually the most popular tourist attraction here. A visit to Bruges just isn't complete without a boat tour, not only because it's a beautiful ride, but also because many of the canals aren't accessible by any other means. The waterline of most laps up directly onto the buildings, and there aren't many paths that allow people to walk along the canals. You can absolutely get some lovely views from the bridges, but in order to really experience the canals and the charming old buildings that line them, you just have to be on the water. But don't get too lost in admiring the magnificent facades as you glide past them. Those bridges I mentioned are often quite low. Unless you're very, very short, be alert and always be prepared to duck. So I just got off the 30-minute canal ride, and that was amazing. That was so worth it. It was a great way to kind of get an introduction to the city, and also wow, I cannot believe how beautiful it is here. It feels like medieval Disneyland, and I'd read that, I'd watched videos, I'd heard people say that it kind of has that vibe, but this place is incredible. I'm sorry I only get a day here. I will definitely come back and explore more because this place is just gorgeous. It was quite warm by the time I got off the boat, but thankfully Bruges has no shortage of hydration stations.
Gotta love a city that makes free drinking water very easy to find.
Then it was time to get down to business.
So next on my list of Bruges experiences to tackle is I'm going to get myself a waffle. There's a bunch of waffle places I want to try. I'm hoping to get to at least 2 of them, but we'll see how the day goes. Okay, so I just got my first waffle from Chez Albert, so let's see how it is. Very excited to eat this. All right, let's give this a try. It's sweeter and stickier than I was expecting. It's good though. Very good.
My filmed reaction was so understated. That thing was delicious. I never ended up making it to a second waffle shop because I couldn't imagine not going back to Chez Albert again when it came time for the afternoon waffle. It's painfully obvious to say, but when in Belgium, don't skip the waffles.
That seems like a delightful combination.
You can even get fancy dessert ones dipped in all sorts of fun things. Belly now full, I next wandered into Burg Square, a large cobblestone plaza known for its mix of architectural styles. Buildings on this square date from a wide stretch of periods, so your eye can feast on architectural treats from many different eras. The square is also home to the Basilica of the Holy Blood, a 12th century basilica that contains what is believed to be a cloth stained with the blood of Jesus Christ. It was free to enter, and though I didn't stay long as it was quite warm inside, I did think it was worth the visit. The heat was really kicking in by this point in the day, and the empty calm of the early morning was now ancient history. But after Burg Square, I started to feel a bit more confident in my sense of the general layout of the city center, so I decided to wander away from the heavily touristed areas to see what the quieter parts of the city had to offer.
It is possible to lose the crowds though. You just need to walk a little bit off the main squares. There's still plenty of people, but it's not quite that overwhelming Disneyland feel that I was just in a few minutes ago. I'm really enjoying this city though. I definitely want to come back and actually spend some more time here. Today it's just a quick hello, nice to meet you trip from Paris, but for anyone out there who's got the time, this is definitely a place worth reason, just to have, you know, a casual, relaxing experience and kind of soak in everything that this place has to offer. And granted, it is the middle of August, which is not the ideal time to be going on a European vacation, but wow. I don't think I've ever seen a city so full of people. It's insane. I've done it. I've actually lost the crowds. There's a few cars going by, but I am the only actual person walking down this street, except for this biker that's about to pass me. So some solitude can be found in Bruges, even in the middle of August, when it seems like the entire earth is here. You just have to look for it, you know? Get off the beaten path, get off the main squares, because it's still gorgeous. I mean, look how beautiful this is. And there's nobody here walking around. So it can be done. You just have to look a little bit farther away.
On my walk back to the main part of the city center, I even managed to find a Brugian beach.
Swimming type thing. That's kind of cool. I want to go swimming in a canal in Bruges. That looks fun. And sounds really appealing because it's like 9 million degrees out today.
Next up on the agenda was to start heading south, making my way toward Boniface Bridge and the Church of Our Lady, taking in the picturesque surroundings along the way. So much of enjoying Bruges is really just about the simple act of appreciating the essence of what's around you.
I had read that one of the great things about Bruges is exploring all these little alleys all over the medieval city. Feels almost not real. It's amazing how beautifully well preserved this place is.
This is definitely the tiniest little alley I've found so far. I love it. Boniface Bridge is actually one of the youngest in Bruges, but has made a name for itself with its particularly charming character and lovely views of the Church of Our Lady. One of the icons of the Bruges skyline, the church features the second highest brick tower in the world, standing at about 400 feet or 122 1/3 meters tall. Construction started in the 13th century and lasted for about 200 years. The church itself is free to enter, but its museum has a small entrance fee. I continued walking in a southern direction with Begijnhof, I hope I'm pronouncing that at least somewhat correctly, as my destination. But I was certainly in no rush to get there and meandered down whichever streets looked the most intriguing.
There are so many cute little places to just grab a drink or sit and relax for a bit. I just want to go everywhere and do everything. This is such a special place. I've been to many cities in Europe, but nothing quite like this.
Bruges has a ton of these little squares with lots of restaurants. They all look so nice. Must be hard to pick which one to eat at. Talk about a lovely spot to have an afternoon drink. Another must-do in Belgium, the mussels. See if I can get some of those later. Another part of the charm of Bruges are the city's swans. Down in this part of the city, they're quite numerous. I believe there are about 250 of them in the area, and they are well fed and well looked after.
Found this canal a little bit off the main. Look at all those swans. Swans kind of low-key freak me out. You can be really aggressive. I kind of got attacked by one when I was a kid. But isn't this canal just beautiful?
Eventually, I found the Begijnhof, a charming enclosed courtyard with white houses encircling a large lawn. It was founded in the 13th century as a community for beguines, lay religious women who lived like nuns in that they didn't marry and devoted their lives to prayer and service, but they didn't take formal vows or fully retire from normal life. The Begijnhof in Bruges has been a continually inhabited place of tranquility and spiritual devotion for centuries. Today, it houses a small community of Benedictine nuns who welcome visitors and maintain the grounds. On this particularly warm, crowded summer day, I was most grateful for the unexpected bubble of peace that the Begijnhof offered me.
Parts of this square actually date back to the 12th century. That's the 1100s. Gosh, it's almost incomprehensible how old some of these areas are. It's just absolutely mind-boggling, especially for an American. I almost don't want to go back outside. It's so much cooler in here and so peaceful. There's a few people walking around in here, but overall it's pretty quiet. It's a nice break from all the hustle and bustle and heat of outside.
Leaving the tranquility of the courtyard behind me, I headed back up toward the city center, aiming for St. Salvator's Cathedral as the next destination, but taking my time and exploring all the hidden corners and canals I spotted along the way. Although, not always without a little bit of drama.
I've also almost gotten murdered by like 5 bikes already, which is totally on me. 100% my fault. I haven't been in such a bike-friendly city in a long time, and I'm a little bit out of practice staying out of their way.
I successfully dodged the treacherous bicycles and arrived at St. Salvator's. This is the oldest church in Bruges with a history dating back to the 10th century. It's obviously been updated since then, and it was a lovely place to rest what were quickly becoming very tired feet. With slightly fresher feet, I headed off now with a focus on checking out the chocolate scene. After all, Belgium has more to offer a hungry visitor than just waffles. Chocolate shops are not hard to find here, there's seemingly one every few meters. But all of them are worth stopping at, if only to admire the creativity and craftsmanship of their mouth-watering creations. Chocolate plays an important role in modern Belgium, both economically and culturally. There are about 2,000 chocolatiers in Belgium offering a wide variety of pralines, truffles, and even some more unique confectionery creations.
I even managed to find chocolate boobs.
The best shop in town? Well, that depends on who you ask.
I think every store claims to be the best Belgian chocolate.
While on the topic of food, we'll switch to drink for just a minute here. Now, as you've seen by now, Bruges is home to countless charming restaurants, bars, and breweries. So why haven't I stopped yet on this sweltering summer day to enjoy a cold beer? Well, partially because at this point of the day, I was starting to worry about how much time I had left before my return train departed, but mostly, I can't stand beer. Not a beer drinker. I didn't very much consider trying a classic Belgian brew anyway, since, one in Rome. But to be honest, I just wasn't feeling it. So no beer reviews in this video, although I know there are tons of other videos out there on the Belgian beer experience for those of you who need to check this box on your visit to Bruges.
Alright, we're now in Market Square. It's now mid-afternoon, so it's a bit livelier than it was when I was here this morning. The Belfort is behind me. Very lively. There's a ton of people here. Oh my goodness, it's so crowded. It's a beautiful square though. The medieval architecture is so beautifully preserved. This city really is like a giant open outdoor museum. I really haven't done much today other than just walking around, and that's kept me entertained. I did the boat ride this morning, but other than that, I've just been wandering around the city because it's so beautiful. There's so much to see just wandering the streets and finding all the little alleys and exploring. There's a reason why it's very crowded here.
Market Square is the undisputed heart of Bruges, a lively square packed with people and cafes whose southern end is dominated by the imposing Belfort, an 83-meter-high bell tower that serves as one of the symbols of the city. It's open for visitors to climb to the top if you want to take in a bird's-eye view of the city. Whether you're hungry, thirsty, in search of a horse and buggy, or just in the mood for some good old-fashioned people watching, Market will have something to tickle your fancy. I knew I wouldn't have time to go into any, but I still wanted to check out at least the outside of a few cute food museums that I'd read about, along with exploring a bit of the neighborhood north of Market.
This is the Historium. It's a beautiful old building, but I think it's actually some sort of like 3D technology experience that goes through the history of Bruges. The Belgians do love their fries. There's even an entire museum dedicated to them. And I am guessing that that is the delivery bike. There is also a museum completely dedicated to chocolate. And of course, the beer museum.
I finished my walk in this area at Jan van Eyck Square, a pleasant spot overlooking the edge of a canal named for the famous Northern Renaissance painter. I took a brief rest here, trying to get my sore feet to rally for the walk back toward the train station. I did enjoy a few additional picturesque scenes on the walk back, plus had a bit of a giggle at one of the more interesting McDonald's I've ever come across.
I don't think I've ever seen a more medieval looking McDonald's. I didn't even think that was possible, but here we are. Look at those doors. So I am headed back to the train station after a lovely day in Bruges. It was a long day, did a ton of walking, but it was lovely. I'm so glad that I made the decision to do this as a day trip since it was going to be my only opportunity to come, so I'm glad that I did it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend coming here in August. It was very hot. It was close to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit today, which for walking around outside all day is a bit much. There's not a ton of shade here. I was pretty much in the sun all day. They do have great free public fountains, which was an unexpected surprise. That was very nice. I use those a lot. But it was very hot, and I kind of joked earlier that it sort of felt like medieval Disneyland. And that wasn't necessarily a positive thing. There were a lot of people, a lot of crowds. It got kind of intense, and I think the city, I'm sure for the locals, completely loses its charm during the summer because it's just completely overrun with people. I would love to come back here again during the winter, actually. I think it would be really nice, and I bet the streets are a lot calmer, a lot more, you get to interact with local people more. I'm sure during the summer they all just avoid us like the plague, and I completely understand why. But yeah, it was a great day. Headed back to the train station now. I've got a 3-hour train ride ahead of me. I've got 3 separate trains going from here to Courtrai to Lille, and then from Lille I'm getting the TGV high-speed train back to Gare du Nord in Paris. And then we get a few hours of sleep, wake up tomorrow morning, and on to the next adventure.
What an adventure Bruges was. I had the most memorable day, simply going for what was really just a day-long walk. Bruges is so magnificent, you can stick to as basic a plan as a walk and at the end of the day feel completely enamored. Of course, with any day trip, time is limited, so there's a ton here I didn't touch on. I never did stop for mussels or fries, didn't even mention the art museums, and as noted, did not imbibe in even a single drop of beer. But hey, gotta leave something for next time, right? If you enjoy visiting amazing historical places, be sure to check out one of my other videos above. And do stop by the channel page to see what else I get up to.
So thanks for spending the day with me, guys. I hope you enjoyed seeing what Bruges looks like. And hopefully you will join me for some more future adventures. Till next time, bye.